Welcome back, everybody. We're diving deep today into this whole idea of letting your light shine.
Okay.
So it's all about, having a positive impact on the world around us. And we're going to be basing our deep dive today on an article from the Positive Affirmations website called Let Your Light Shine, Illuminating the World with Purpose.
That's a great title.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And this article actually takes inspiration from a Bible verse.
Okay.
Matthew 5.15.
Right.
And it says, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. So we're going to be looking at this through kind of a spiritual lens, but the concept of being a light bearer.
Right.
Well, that resonates with a lot of different philosophies and traditions.
Oh, for sure.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the idea that each of us has sort of this inner light.
Right.
This potential for good that we can share with the world.
Yeah.
That's definitely a concept you find across a lot of different cultures and spiritual practices.
Definitely. Yeah. It's
So,
it's not about, you know, being a superhero.
Oh, right.
It's about those everyday ways to make a difference.
Yeah.
So before we dive into that, how to,
Okay.
what does this light actually represent?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it just metaphor?
Yeah.
Or is there something deeper here?
Well, I think the article really draws on that Christian interpretation, where light is seen as this gift from God.
Okay.
A reflection of his divine nature within us. It's about recognizing that inherent goodness in each person.
Right.
That potential for love and compassion and purpose that's meant to be shared.
Yeah.
Not hidden away.
So it's almost like a responsibility then.
I think so.
We're given this gift and we're meant to do something with it. Not just keep it to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's not enough to just have this light.
Right.
We're called to let it shine, to illuminate the world around us.
Yeah.
With our actions, our words,
right.
our very presence.
And the article actually gets pretty specific about how we can do that in different aspects of our lives, at home, at work, in our communities.
Yeah. And they even tell that story of Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
Who was struggling with resentment towards her siblings.
Yeah.
But, through prayer and a conscious effort to be kinder, she was able to let go of that bitterness and rebuild those relationships.
It's such a powerful example because it's relatable.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
We all have those family dynamics.
Absolutely.
That can be challenging. But what I find really interesting is that Sarah's light wasn't about making some grand gesture.
Right.
It was about a change within herself.
That inner transformation.
And that had a ripple effect outwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about that inner transformation, and it manifests in those outward actions.
Yeah.
And the article suggests that can happen in our professional lives, too.
Right.
They give the example of John, who's a team leader.
I remember that.
Yeah, known for his fairness and his habit of praying before big decisions.
Yeah, his colleagues were skeptical at first.
Right.
But then they started to see how his faith really informed his leadership. And it actually had a positive impact on the team.
Yes. Now, think about what made John's approach so effective.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the act of prayer itself.
Right.
But the values it represented.
Right, like integrity.
Exactly. Integrity, humility, seeking guidance beyond himself. And those values then translated into how he treated his team.
Yeah.
Creating a more supportive and ethical work environment.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It wasn't about preaching at his colleagues.
Right.
It was about living his faith in a way that inspired them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, are there certain qualities beyond specific religious practices that make a light shine brighter in a professional setting?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the universality of this concept.
Yeah.
Whether we frame it as light or goodness or positive energy.
Right.
Certain qualities like integrity, empathy, a genuine desire to serve others.
Yeah.
Those tend to resonate across cultures and belief systems.
It's like those qualities create a sort of beacon drawing people in.
Exactly.
Making them want to be around that light.
But the article does acknowledge that it's not always easy to let our light shine brightly.
Oh, absolutely.
We all have moments of doubt, fear, uncertainty.
Yeah.
Those things that make us want to dim our light, hide it away.
I mean, we all have those inner critics.
Right.
That tell us we're not good enough or that our efforts don't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the article addresses that.
It does. It highlights 3 common reasons why people tend to hide their light.
Okay.
Fear of rejection, self-doubt, and uncertainty.
That makes sense.
It's natural to worry about what others will think.
Right.
To question our own abilities or to feel unsure of how to make a real difference.
It's almost reassuring to know that those fears are so common
Yeah.
that we're not alone in feeling that way.
Right.
But how do we move past those fears?
Right.
How do we find the courage to shine our light,
Yeah.
even when it feels risky or uncomfortable?
Well, the article suggests a three-pronged approach,
Okay.
emphasizing the importance of faith, small steps, and supportive community.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, so having a strong faith, whatever form that takes for you,
Right.
can be a powerful source of courage and resilience.
Okay.
It's about trusting that there's a bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
a purpose beyond our immediate worries and fears
Okay.
that can give us the strength to step outside our comfort zones.
It's like having that anchor.
Yeah.
In something larger than yourself that can help you weather those storms of doubt and uncertainty.
Precisely. And the second point,
Okay.
taking small steps,
Yeah.
is all about making that concept manageable. Now, instead of getting overwhelmed by the idea of making a huge impact,
Right.
you can focus on those little everyday acts of kindness, generosity,
Yeah.
or simply sharing our unique talents and passions.
So it's not about waiting for some grand opportunity.
Right.
It's about finding those little ways to shine our light
Exactly.
right here, right now.
And one of the most powerful and often overlooked acts of light is simply smiling.
Really?
I know it
It's
sounds.
just plastering on a fake grin. I don't know about that.
Well, it has to be genuine, of course.
Okay.
But studies have shown that a genuine smile can reduce stress hormones,
Huh.
boost our immune systems, and even make us appear more approachable and trustworthy to others.
Okay.
And think about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a day where a stranger's smile completely changed your mood?
Now that you mention it, I was having a terrible morning once, rushing to work feeling stressed.
Yeah.
And this woman on the train just looked at me and gave me this warm, genuine smile.
Oh.
And it made a difference.
See,
Yeah.
it's a simple act, but it has the power to shift energy,
Yeah.
to create a ripple effect of positivity.
It's like those mosaic artworks
Yes.
where each individual tile
Yeah.
might seem insignificant on its own,
Right.
but together they create this beautiful, intricate image.
What a perfect analogy.
Thanks.
That brings us to the third point,
Okay.
the power of community.
Right.
The article emphasizes that when we surround ourselves with people who share our values,
Mm-hmm.
who support our desire to make a positive difference, it amplifies our light.
Yeah.
It gives us the courage to keep going even when we face challenges.
It's like having a team of cheerleaders reminding us of our strengths and encouraging us to shine even brighter.
Yes. The article even shared a story about a youth group that organized a Light the Night project,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
where they distributed candles with scripture verses printed on them throughout their neighborhood.
Yeah, and that sparked conversations.
Yeah,
So it fostered connections.
Mhm.
And even led some people to attend church for the first time.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, it highlights how collective action coming together with a shared purpose
Right.
can have a much greater impact than any one individual acting alone.
Exactly.
But let's go back to something you mentioned earlier about sharing our faith.
Okay.
Now, this is a topic that can be tricky to navigate.
It can be.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you approach this in a way that feels authentic and respectful without making people feel pressured or judged?
You're absolutely right. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And the article acknowledges that
Right.
it's not about imposing our beliefs on others,
Right.
but about living our faith in a way that's inspiring and inviting.
Okay.
It could be as simple as mentioning your church community in conversation,
Hmm.
offering a prayer for someone who's going through a tough time,
Right.
or just letting your actions reflect your values,
Yeah.
being honest, kind, compassionate,
Yeah.
even when it's difficult.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly.
Right.
And remember, sometimes the most profound impact happens in subtle ways.
Okay.
The article told this story about a teacher who used to write encouraging Bible verses on sticky notes
Oh.
and give them to her students.
Wow.
Years later, one of those students reached out to her
Yeah.
and said those notes had helped him through some really dark times.
That gives me chills.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And it reminds us that we don't always have to see the immediate results of our actions.
Right.
Just putting that positive energy out into the world. That's what matters.
Yeah. And speaking of positive actions,
Yeah.
the article also had a whole section on tangible ways to let your light shine with specific examples. I found that incredibly helpful.
Me too. It
Yeah.
wasn't just vague concepts, it was practical advice
Right.
that we can actually apply in our lives.
Exactly.
One of the suggestions that really resonated with me was the idea of volunteering.
Okay.
It talked about the example of a food bank, where people come together to provide meals for those in need.
I've always admired people who dedicate their time and energy to helping others in that way.
It's incredibly inspiring, isn't it?
It is.
And what's fascinating is that studies have shown that volunteering not only benefits the recipients, but it also has a positive impact on the volunteers themselves.
Really?
Yeah, it can increase feelings of happiness, reduce stress, and even lead to a stronger sense of community and belonging.
So it's a win-win situation.
It is.
You're helping others, and you're also enriching your own life in the process.
Exactly.
But sometimes the biggest hurdle is just taking that first step, overcoming that inertia.
That's so true. And that's why the article emphasizes the importance of offering encouragement to others. Whether it's a simple compliment, a word of appreciation, or just taking the time to truly listen to someone who needs to be heard. These small gestures can have a profound impact.
It's like we're all carrying these little lanterns. And when we share our light with others, it helps them to see their own way through the darkness.
What a beautiful way to put it.
Thanks.
And it all circles back to that idea of community, doesn't it?
It does.
We're not meant to do this alone.
Right.
We need each other to amplify our light, to support each other, to remind each other of the power and the beauty within each of us.
And that brings us to those key takeaways that the article highlights.
They really encapsulate this whole idea of letting your light shine.
They do. It's like they distilled the essence of this ancient wisdom into 6 powerful points that we can all carry with us.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm ready. Lay them on us.
All right. Well, the first takeaway is a reminder that your light is intentional. You were given it for a reason. You have something unique to contribute to the world.
Yeah, it's like a validation that we each have a role to play, a purpose to fulfill.
Exactly. And the second point builds on that, saying we should shine in all areas of life, personal, professional, spiritual. It's about letting that light illuminate every aspect of who we are.
So it's about being holistic, bringing that positive energy to everything we do, not compartmentalizing it.
Exactly. And the third point addresses something we talked about earlier, overcoming doubt and fear. It reminds us that real boldness comes from trusting in a higher power, whatever that looks like for each of us, and believing in our own capacity to make a difference.
Yeah, it's about silencing that inner critic and stepping into our power, even when it feels scary.
Yes. And that leads beautifully into the fourth takeaway, which is that small acts matter. It emphasizes that even seemingly insignificant gestures of kindness can have a ripple effect. So we should never underestimate the power of our actions.
That's so reassuring. We don't have to wait for some grand opportunity to make a difference. We can start right now with whatever we have to offer.
Precisely. And the fifth takeaway reminds us that community amplifies light. It highlights the importance of connecting with others who share our values, supporting each other, and working together to create a more positive world.
That's been a recurring theme throughout our discussion, and it makes so much sense. We're stronger together, and we can inspire each other to shine even brighter.
And finally, the sixth takeaway brings it all back to the source, reminding us that whatever our faith tradition, there's a higher power we can always draw strength and inspiration from, knowing we're never alone on this journey.
What a beautiful way to sum it all up. It feels like a roadmap for living a more meaningful and impactful life. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired.
Me too. And I think the most important thing is to remember that this is an ongoing journey. It's not about reaching some destination or achieving perfection, but about consistently striving to live in a way that reflects our values and brings light to those around us.
And as we've seen, that light can manifest in so many different ways. It can be a smile, a kind word, an act of service, or simply showing up authentically as our best selves.
Exactly. And I love how the article doesn't shy away from the challenges. It acknowledges that fear and doubt are part of the human experience. But it also gives us tools and encouragement to overcome those obstacles.
It's empowering, isn't it? Knowing that we have the power to choose light even when we're surrounded by darkness.
It is. And that brings me to a question that's been swirling in my mind throughout our conversation. The article focuses on the positive impact of letting our light shine. But what happens when we choose to dim our light out of fear, apathy, or maybe even a sense of unworthiness? What impact does that have, not just on ourselves, but on the world around us?
Wow, that's a powerful question. It really challenges us to consider the responsibility that comes with having this light within us. It's not something to be taken lightly, so to speak.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, are we not only responsible for letting our own light shine, but also for helping to create the conditions where others feel safe and supported to shine their lights as well?
That's a thought-provoking idea. It expands this whole concept beyond individual actions and into the realm of collective responsibility. I think that's something worth pondering for all of us.
Absolutely, and I hope our listeners will continue to explore these ideas long after our conversation ends.
Me too. This deep dive has given me so much to think about, and I'm excited to start putting some of these principles into practice in my own life.
That's the spirit. Remember, the world needs your light.
Beautifully said. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this illuminating exploration of what it means to let your light shine. We hope you found it as enriching and inspiring as we have.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep letting your light shine.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive.